God preparing you for a new season. Learn the signs, mindset and motivation for success, feeling challenged or restless. What if it's not a setback but a sign? Explore the subtle and powerful indicators that God might be preparing you for a major blessing. Ever wonder if the struggles, closed doors, or unexpected connections in your life mean something more? Discover the key signs that often precede a significant move of God. Are you overlooking divine signals? Learn to recognize the patterns of preparation, discomfort, and opportunity that can indicate God is about to give you something big, increased challenges and obstacles. Feeling like life's turning up the heat just when you're praying for relief. Could this pressure actually be a good sign? When God is on the verge of giving you something significant, something truly big, it's actually not uncommon at all to find yourself facing increased challenges and unexpected obstacles. You might catch yourself wondering, why do things seem to be getting tougher right when I'm praying hardest for a breakthrough? But here's a profound truth to hold on to. The struggle often intensifies precisely before the blessing arrives. Think of it like the deepest darkness of night settling in just moments before the first light of dawn. This timing isn't mere coincidence. It's often a clear sign that something truly significant is waiting just beyond the horizon. God utilizes these challenges not with the intention to break you, but rather to strategically build you. He uses them to strengthen your faith and meticulously prepare you for what's coming next. Consider the growth of a mighty tree. It frequently endures fierce storms. The powerful winds push relentlessly against it, and heavy rains beat down upon its branches. Yet these very forces are what compel its roots to dig deeper into the earth and its trunk to grow stronger and more resilient. In much the same way, God sometimes permits the storms of life to push against us, not to knock us down permanently, but to ultimately make us stronger and more resilient individuals. He understands with perfect wisdom that the blessing He has prepared for you necessitates a stronger version of yourself. It requires a faith that has been rigorously tested, a patience that has been stretched thin yet endured, and a perseverance that has been undeniably proven through adversity. When challenges inevitably arise, it's completely natural to feel frustrated, discouraged, or even utterly defeated. You might feel the strong urge to give up or begin to seriously question whether you're even on the right path anymore. But let me assure you, these moments of intense struggle are not a detour away from your anticipated blessing. Rather, they are an integral part of the journey toward it. God isn't solely interested in the gift He intends to give you. He is also deeply invested in the person you are becoming throughout the entire process. The blessing, therefore, encompasses not only the final destination, but also the profound transformation that occurs within you while you're getting there. When the pressure around you noticeably increases, recognize it as a potential sign that God is actively refining you. Just as precious gold is purified through intense fire, our faith and character are similarly refined and strengthened through life's trials. You may acutely feel the heat of the situation, but always remember, God remains in complete control of the temperature. He knows precisely how much you can handle, and He promises never to allow you to be tested beyond your God-given ability. And as the symbolic flames of life's challenges rise, impurities like fear, doubt, and impatience naturally fall away. What ultimately remains is a faith that has become solid and unwavering, a character that increasingly reflects His goodness, and a heart fully prepared and ready to receive the abundance of His blessing. Sometimes these challenges manifest in the form of direct opposition. You might encounter people actively doubting your abilities, find circumstances seemingly blocking your every move, or feel surrounded by an atmosphere of negativity. When this occurs, try to remember that opposition itself is often a strong indication that you are indeed on the right track. The enemy rarely wastes his energy opposing those who don't pose a significant threat to his agenda. When you consistently face pushback, it might very well signify that you are stepping directly into the very purpose God has specifically designed for you. Instead of shrinking back in fear, choose to stand firm in your convictions. Instead of succumbing to discouragement, consciously press forward with renewed determination, because every single step you bravely take in faith is a step bringing you closer to the fulfillment of the promise. During these intensely challenging times, it's also absolutely crucial to pay close attention to your response. Are you responding primarily with faith, holding on to God's promises, or are you reacting mainly out of fear, allowing doubt to creep in and take root? The way you choose to respond to the obstacles placed before you often determines how long you might remain in a wilderness season. God is actively looking for those individuals who will steadfastly trust Him, even when they cannot physically trace His hand at work. Those who will continue to praise Him, even while standing in the very midst of the storm. When you intentionally keep your eyes fixed on Him, even the most daunting challenges miraculously transform into stepping stones leading towards greater blessings. And let me tell you with certainty, when you faithfully hold on through the struggle, there is always a reward waiting. The Word of God assures us that those who sow with tears will ultimately reap with shouts of joy. The pain endured, the hardships faced, the sleepless nights wrestled through, none of it is ever wasted. They are like seeds diligently planted in the soil of faith, and God unequivocally promises a harvest. You may not see the results immediately, but rest assured, every tear shed in prayer, every heartfelt petition offered, every courageous step taken in faith is steadily leading you closer and closer to that significant big thing God has meticulously prepared specifically for you. So if you currently find yourself navigating the midst of trials, if it feels like the proverbial heat has been significantly turned up in your life, take heart. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. The very fact that you are facing opposition can be interpreted as a powerful sign that your blessing is incredibly near. Stand strong in your faith. Remain steadfastly faithful in your actions. And keep relentlessly pressing forward. Because just on the other side of this present challenge lies the very breakthrough you've been earnestly praying for. And when that breakthrough finally arrives, you will inevitably look back and clearly see that every single struggle was ultimately worth it. Every test endured became an integral part of your powerful testimony. And every obstacle encountered was merely a setup for the extraordinary blessing God had planned for you all along. Divine discomfort and restlessness. Feeling restless or dissatisfied in your current situation, even when things seem okay on the surface. Could this inner stirring be God calling you higher? When God is poised to bestow something significant upon you, you might begin to experience a peculiar sense of divine discomfort and inner restlessness. It's that subtle yet persistent feeling deep within your spirit that signals something is shifting. An inner knowing that where you currently are is not where you are ultimately meant to stay. You might find yourself feeling inexplicably uneasy, even when external circumstances appear relatively normal or stable. This restlessness isn't accidental. It's often a divine sign that God is actively preparing you for something greater than your current reality. It's as if your spirit senses, even before your conscious mind fully grasps it, that a brand new chapter in your life is about to begin. Sometimes this profound discomfort manifests as a distinct stirring within your heart. You may discover yourself losing passion or enthusiasm for activities, roles, or even relationships that once brought you considerable joy or fulfillment. Your job might start to feel stagnant. Your familiar routines might seem monotonous, or certain connections may no longer resonate with your evolving spirit. This shift doesn't necessarily mean you've suddenly become ungrateful. Rather, it often indicates that God is strategically shifting your focus towards where He intends for you to go next. It's a common pattern when God desires to move you into a new season. He frequently makes your current situation somewhat uncomfortable. It serves as His gentle, loving nudge, urging you to release the old so that you can fully embrace the new He has prepared. This divine restlessness can also surface as a deep inner longing for more. Not necessarily more material possessions, but more purpose, more impact, more alignment. You might start dreaming bigger dreams, envisioning a future that currently seems far beyond your reach or capabilities. You may find yourself questioning if there's truly more to life than what you are currently experiencing day to day. Please understand, this yearning isn't typically a sign of greed or simple discontentment. It's often a powerful sign of impending growth. God is actively expanding your vision, granting you glimpses of the incredible potential He has stored up for you. He is gently showing you that your current season, while perhaps necessary for a time, is not your final destination. And although this period of inner stirring might feel unsettling or confusing, recognize it as God's intentional way of preparing your heart for the crucial next step on your journey. At times, this divine discomfort might even manifest through seemingly closed doors. Opportunities that once flowed effortlessly might suddenly dry up. Plans that appeared certain and secure might abruptly unravel without clear explanation. You might feel as though nothing is going right, as if every path you attempt to take is inexplicably blocked. But consider this perspective shift. What if those closed doors are not actually indicators of failure, but rather signs of divine direction? What if God isn't punishing you for some unknown transgression, but actively protecting you from settling somewhere too small, somewhere misaligned with the grander purpose He has destined for you? Sometimes God strategically has to make your current situation somewhat uncomfortable, precisely so that you won't settle for anything less than His absolute best for your life. When you acutely feel this inner restlessness, it is absolutely crucial to respond with faith, not with fear. It's incredibly easy, even natural, to cling tightly to what feels familiar, to hold on to what we already know, even if it's no longer serving us. But God is consistently calling you to bravely step out of your established comfort zone. He is asking you to place your trust completely in Him, even when the very next step on the path isn't yet clear or fully illuminated. Remember the children of Israel? They undoubtedly felt this kind of profound restlessness during their time wandering in the wilderness. They knew instinctively they couldn't remain where they were indefinitely. Yet the promised land wasn't immediately visible on the horizon. In those challenging in-between moments, God poses a crucial question to our hearts. Will you trust me even in this uncertainty? Will you follow my leading even when you don't possess all the answers? This divine discomfort also serves as a potent call towards deeper intimacy with God. It acts as an invitation to draw nearer to Him, to actively seek His guidance, and to attune your spiritual ears to listen intently for His voice. When you feel that sense of restlessness stirring within, instead of immediately rushing to fix the external circumstances, intentionally take a moment to pause and pray. Ask God sincerely what He might be trying to reveal to you through this discomfort. Sometimes He allows these feelings precisely so that you will lean more heavily upon Him, seeking Him with greater earnestness. And it is often within those quiet moments of seeking that He begins to gently unveil His unfolding plan, providing you with His supernatural peace even before the path forward becomes entirely clear. Another significant aspect of this restlessness is that it frequently precedes a major season of transition in your life. You might recognize that you are no longer where you used to be, yet you haven't fully arrived at where you desire to go. It can feel like being temporarily situated in a hallway between two distinct doors. The old door representing your past has firmly closed, but the new door leading to your future hasn't completely swung open just yet. This in-between space can certainly feel uncomfortable and uncertain, but it is also precisely where immense growth often occurs. It's during these transitional periods that God actively molds you, shapes your character, and thoroughly prepares you for what lies ahead. If you try to rush impatiently through this phase, you risk missing the invaluable lessons He is attempting to teach you. However, if you choose to embrace it with faith and patience, you'll discover that the metaphorical waiting room is never wasted time. It is always a crucial place of divine preparation. During this preparatory time, you might also notice God strategically pruning certain things out of your life. Specific relationships might naturally fall away. Old, unproductive habits may no longer satisfy you. Familiar environments might begin to feel strangely foreign or misaligned. Understand that this is often God intentionally making room for the new things He desires to bring into your life. He is carefully cutting away what is no longer serving your higher purpose, ensuring that when He ultimately brings forth the promised blessing, you possess the necessary capacity and readiness to receive it fully. While this pruning process might not always feel good in the moment, trust that it is ultimately for your good. And if you place your trust firmly in His process, you will invariably find that everything He lovingly removes is eventually replaced with something far better, something perfectly aligned with the bigger, grander purpose He holds for you. So if you are experiencing that distinct divine discomfort today, please don't ignore it. Don't carelessly dismiss it as merely a passing phase, or simply brush it off as a consequence of having a bad mood. Instead, consciously choose to lean into it, pray through the uncertainty. Hold on to the steadfast trust that God is actively moving and working on your behalf, even if you cannot yet see the complete picture. Recognize this restlessness not as a sign of impending defeat, but as a clear signal of imminent transition. It is God stirring up your spirit because He is preparing to significantly shift your current situation. And when you respond to this inner stirring with courageous faith, when you sincerely declare, God, I may not fully understand this right now, but I wholeheartedly trust you. You effectively position yourself to fully receive the significant blessing He has already meticulously prepared. Just for you, unexpected closed doors feeling blocked or rejected lately. What if those closed doors aren't endings, but God's way of redirecting you to something even better? When God is preparing to usher something truly significant into your life, you might observe a pattern of certain doors beginning to close unexpectedly. This experience can understandably feel confusing, perhaps even deeply frustrating, especially when opportunities you were confidently counting on suddenly vanish without explanation, or when paths you were actively walking down abruptly come to an end. But consider this powerful reframe. What if those seemingly closed doors aren't actually rejections, but rather divine redirections? What if God isn't denying you something good, but strategically directing you towards something far greater than you could have ever imagined for yourself? Sometimes the very doors that firmly close in our faces are the precise mechanisms God uses to guide us towards the biggest, most fulfilling blessings destined for our lives. We often instinctively perceive closed doors as discouraging setbacks, but from God's higher perspective, they frequently serve as strategic setups. It's incredibly easy to become fixated on what isn't working out, lamenting the perceived loss, and consequently miss the intricate work God is orchestrating behind the scenes. Perhaps you earnestly prayed for a specific promotion at work, only to discover that someone else received the position. Maybe you were deeply invested in a relationship you sincerely believed would last a lifetime, but it unexpectedly ended, leaving you heartbroken and confused. Or possibly you poured your energy into a business venture that initially seemed full of promise, but it suddenly collapsed. These moments undoubtedly have the potential to shake your faith. You might begin to wonder if God has somehow forgotten about you, or perhaps worry that you've inadvertently missed His intended plan for your life. But let me firmly remind you of this truth. God is infinitely too wise to ever make a mistake, and profoundly too loving to ever be intentionally unkind. When He permits a door to close, it is always because He has something significantly better waiting in store for you. One fundamental reason God closes certain doors is for our protection. He possesses foresight we lack. He sees what we cannot possibly see. He knows the future trajectory and understands the complete, intricate picture of our lives. However, if you choose to embrace it with faith and patience, you'll discover that the metaphorical waiting room is never wasted time. It is always a crucial place of divine preparation. During this preparatory time, you might also notice God strategically pruning certain things out of your life. Specific relationships might naturally fall away. Old, unproductive habits may no longer satisfy you. Familiar environments might begin to feel strangely foreign or misaligned. Understand that this is often God intentionally making room for the new things He desires to bring into your life. He is carefully cutting away what is no longer serving your higher purpose, ensuring that when He ultimately brings forth the promised blessing, you possess the necessary capacity and readiness to receive it fully. While this pruning process might not always feel good in the moment, trust that it is ultimately for your good And if you place your trust firmly in His process, you will invariably find that everything He lovingly removes is eventually replaced with something far better, something perfectly aligned with the bigger, grander purpose He holds for you. So if you are experiencing that distinct divine discomfort today, please don't ignore it. Don't carelessly dismiss it as merely a passing phase, or simply brush it off as a consequence of having a bad mood. Instead, consciously choose to lean into it, pray through the uncertainty. Hold on to the steadfast trust that God is actively moving and working on your behalf, even if you cannot yet see the complete picture. Recognize this restlessness not as a sign of impending defeat, but as a clear signal of imminent transition. It is God stirring up your spirit because He is preparing to significantly shift your current situation. And when you respond to this inner stirring with courageous faith, when you sincerely declare, God, I may not fully understand this right now, but I wholeheartedly trust you. You effectively position yourself to fully receive the significant blessing He has already meticulously prepared just for you. Unexpected closed doors feeling blocked or rejected lately? What if those closed doors aren't endings, but God's way of redirecting you to something even better? When God is preparing to usher something truly significant into your life, you might observe a pattern of certain doors beginning to close unexpectedly. This experience can understandably feel confusing, perhaps even deeply frustrating, especially when opportunities you were confidently counting on suddenly vanish without explanation, or when paths you were actively walking down abruptly come to an end. But consider this powerful reframe. What if those seemingly closed doors aren't actually rejections, but rather divine redirections? What if God isn't denying you something good, but strategically directing you towards something far greater than you could have ever imagined for yourself? Sometimes the very doors that firmly close in our faces are the precise mechanisms God uses to guide us towards the biggest, most fulfilling blessings destined for our lives. We often instinctively perceive closed doors as discouraging setbacks, but from God's higher perspective, they frequently serve as strategic setups. It's incredibly easy to become fixated on what isn't working out, lamenting the perceived loss, and consequently miss the intricate work God is orchestrating behind the scenes. Perhaps you earnestly prayed for a specific promotion at work, only to discover that someone else received the position. Maybe you were deeply invested in a relationship you sincerely believed would last a lifetime, but it unexpectedly ended, leaving you heartbroken and confused. Or possibly you poured your energy into a business venture that initially seemed full of promise, but it suddenly collapsed. These moments undoubtedly have the potential to shake your faith. You might begin to wonder if God has somehow forgotten about you, or perhaps worry that you've inadvertently missed His intended plan for your life. But let me firmly remind you of this truth. God is infinitely too wise to ever make a mistake, and profoundly too loving to ever be intentionally unkind. When He permits a door to close, it is always because He has something significantly better waiting in store for you. One fundamental reason God closes certain doors is for our protection. He possesses foresight we lack. He sees what we cannot possibly see. He knows the future trajectory and understands the complete, intricate picture of our lives. Sometimes the very thing we are fervently praying for isn't actually aligned with God's ultimate best for us. even if it appears desirable on the surface. We might think we desperately want that particular job, that specific relationship, or that appealing opportunity. But God, in His omniscience, knows where that specific path ultimately leads. He might foresee that it would eventually bring undue stress instead of lasting peace, that it would inadvertently pull us away from our true purpose, or perhaps that it would cause us to settle for something far less than the extraordinary destiny He originally intended for us. Therefore, when God closes a door, understand that He is not withholding good things from you. Rather, He is lovingly preserving you for the absolute best things. Closed doors can also serve as a powerful means of strengthening our faith. It's relatively easy to trust God when everything in life is sailing smoothly. However, authentic, resilient faith is primarily forged in the seasons of waiting, in the periods of uncertainty, in those challenging moments when the answer seems to be not yet, or perhaps even not this. When a door firmly closes, it naturally forces us to turn our gaze towards God, seeking His specific direction. It compels us to earnestly seek His guidance, reminding us to lean not solely on our own limited understanding, but to place our complete trust in Him fully. It is precisely within these moments of perceived blockage that our faith muscles are stretched, tested, and ultimately strengthened. Remember, God isn't solely interested in merely delivering the blessing. He is deeply invested in nurturing and growing our intimate relationship with Him throughout the entire journey. Sometimes God closes a door strategically to push us deliberately out of our comfortable, familiar zones. We humans are often creatures of habit. We tend to prefer the familiar, the predictable, the safe. But genuine growth rarely flourishes within the confines of the comfort zone. If every single door we happen to knock on swung open easily, we might never feel compelled to move forward into new territories, never strive to reach higher potentials, never bravely step into the completely new and exciting things God has prepared for us. When a door closes unexpectedly, it can create a kind of holy discomfort, an inner sense that perhaps it's time to move, time to explore different avenues, time to exercise trust in God in entirely new ways. It serves as a poignant reminder that God has not called us to simply settle for mediocrity, but rather to soar towards our full potential, assuring us that He possesses plans far greater than we could ever possibly conceive on our own. There are also instances when God closes a specific door precisely because He wants to position us correctly for the right door, the one truly aligned with His perfect will. Occasionally, we become so intensely focused on what we think we want or need that we completely miss what God is actively trying to give us. We might find ourselves standing stubbornly at one particular door, knocking relentlessly, pleading for it to open, while God is gently whispering, "Turn around, my child, I have something far better waiting for you just behind you." But because we remain fixated on our preconceived notion of what should happen, we fail to notice the clearly open door that offers a superior path. When God closes a door, recognize that it is never the end of the story. Rather, it is a divine invitation to pivot, to change direction, to actively look for His leading elsewhere, and to trust implicitly that He is meticulously guiding every single step of your journey. And let me assure you of this: when the right door eventually opens, it will not only perfectly align with your God-given purpose, but also harmonize beautifully with His perfect timing. It will not introduce confusion into your life, but instead bring profound clarity. It will not require you to compromise your values or integrity, but will empower you to step fully into the promises He has made. When the truly right door opens, it will invariably be accompanied by an unmistakable sense of peace, adequate provision for the task ahead, and a tangible awareness of God's guiding presence. You won't have to struggle relentlessly to force it open. You will simply need to walk through it confidently with faith. So if you find yourself standing before a firmly closed door today, please do not lose hope. Resist the temptation to waste precious time staring regretfully at what didn't work out, lamenting what didn't happen according to your plan, or dwelling excessively on what now lies behind you. Instead, consciously lift your eyes towards heaven and sincerely ask God to reveal the new door He is currently opening for you. Pray earnestly for discernment, for wisdom, and for the necessary courage to move decisively when He clearly indicates it's time. Remember, sometimes a closed door isn't meant to be a final stop sign. It's simply a divine turn signal, gently guiding you towards something new and ultimately better. And when you eventually look back on your journey, you will see it all with perfect clarity. You'll understand precisely how every single closed door providentially led you to exactly the right place at the right time. You'll recognize how every perceived no was actually preparing you for a far greater yes. And you'll see without a shadow of a doubt how God's loving hand was meticulously guiding you all along the way. You will come to realize that the closed doors weren't ultimately disappointments. They were truly divine appointments. And you'll finally stand firmly in the designated place of your blessing, filled with gratitude, not only for the doors God miraculously opened, but also, perhaps even more so, for the ones He lovingly and wisely closed. Heightened spiritual sensitivity, feeling more attuned to spiritual whispers, vivid dreams, or uncanny coincidences lately? Could your spirit be picking up on God's upcoming move? When God is preparing to bestow something significant upon your life, you might begin to notice a distinct heightened spiritual sensitivity operating within you. It can feel as though the veil typically separating the natural realm from the spiritual realm becomes perceptibly thinner, allowing you to start perceiving things on a much deeper, more intuitive level. You may experience a noticeable stirring deep within your spirit, feel a stronger, more tangible sense of God's comforting presence surrounding you, or perhaps develop a newfound, heightened awareness of His specific guidance unfolding in your daily life. Recognize that these moments of spiritual awakening are not random occurrences. They're often clear signs that God is actively preparing you for an entirely new season. He is meticulously aligning your heart's desires with His perfect plans and gently opening your spiritual eyes to clearly see the work He is doing both within you and around you. Sometimes this heightened sensitivity manifests itself through vivid dreams or distinct visions. You might find yourself experiencing dreams that are unusually lucid, carrying what feels like a significant message or symbolic meaning. Or perhaps during moments of prayer or quiet reflection, you receive a clear mental picture or vision that feels profoundly significant and relevant to your current situation. Throughout history, God has consistently utilized dreams and visions as powerful means to communicate with His people, providing them with crucial direction, revealing hidden aspects of His plans, and preparing their hearts for what is to come. When you begin to experience these phenomena more frequently, interpret it as a divine invitation to pay close attention. God might be clearly showing you the path He wants you to take, or gently preparing your heart for the blessings or challenges that lie ahead. It is vitally important to treat these moments with reverence, diligently praying about them, and sincerely asking God for clarity and accurate understanding. There are also times when this increased sensitivity manifests as a strong, undeniable inner prompting. You might feel a distinct nudge deep within your spirit urging you to take a particular step of faith, perhaps prompting you to reach out and connect with a specific person, or guiding you towards making a decision you hadn't previously considered. This inner guidance isn't always a loud, booming voice. Often it presents as a gentle whisper, a quiet inner assurance, confidently leading you in the right direction. This is the Holy Spirit actively guiding you, assisting you in discerning God's specific will for your life in that moment. When you sense this distinct prompting, it is absolutely vital to respond with obedience and faith, even if you don't possess a complete understanding of the why behind it. Take that indicated step, make that prompted call, follow that inspired lead. Frequently, simple obedience to a seemingly small prompting serves to open the door to a significant life-altering blessing. Another common way this heightened sensitivity shows up is through a noticeably deepened connection to God's Word. You might discover that as you read the Bible, certain verses suddenly seem to leap off the page, resonating powerfully within your spirit. Scriptures you may have read countless times before might abruptly take on fresh, profound meaning, speaking directly and relevantly to your current circumstances. You might also find that sermons you hear, devotions you read, or even casual conversations with fellow believers consistently bring forth repeated themes or messages that resonate deeply within your spirit. Please understand, this recurrence is typically not mere coincidence. It is divine confirmation. God frequently speaks and confirms His guidance through His written word. And when you begin to notice distinct patterns and repeated messages emerging, consider it a clear sign that He is actively directing your steps. It serves as a call to listen with heightened attentiveness and to consciously align your actions with His revealed guidance. You might also observe that your personal prayer life takes on a new, palpable depth and intensity. While there are certainly seasons when prayer can feel somewhat routine or obligatory, during times when God is preparing to move significantly, prayer often transforms into an essential lifeline. You may feel a stronger, more persistent urge to pray, a deeper desire to spend extended time simply resting in God's presence, and a greater earnestness in seeking His face. It's as if God Himself is actively drawing you closer, inviting you into deeper communion with Him, encouraging you to pour out your heart completely and authentically, and preparing you to receive His profound peace and clear guidance in return. During these intensified periods, prayer evolves beyond a mere duty. It becomes a vibrant two-way dialogue. You speak and you genuinely sense God responding. You ask for wisdom and He faithfully provides it. You listen attentively and He fills your heart with unwavering assurance. Sometimes this heightened spiritual sensitivity can also manifest through external signs and confirmations appearing around you. You might repeatedly hear the same encouraging message from various unrelated sources. You might experience what feel like divinely orchestrated appointments or encounters. Or you might notice seemingly small coincidences occurring that feel far too specific and timely to be mere chance. Perhaps you randomly turn on the radio and hear a song whose lyrics speak directly to the situation weighing on your heart. Or maybe someone unexpectedly says the exact words you desperately needed to hear without even knowing your circumstances. Recognize these occurrences not as random chance, but potentially as God's creative ways of speaking directly to you. When you maintain a state of spiritual alertness, you will increasingly begin to recognize His voice woven into the fabric of your everyday life moments. This increased spiritual sensitivity also serves as a crucial call to heightened discernment. Understand that when God is preparing to bless you significantly, the enemy often attempts to introduce confusion, distraction, or deception into the situation. Therefore, it becomes vitally important to diligently pray for wisdom, carefully testing everything you hear and see against the unchanging truth of God's Word, and remaining mindful of whether experiences align with His established character of love, truth, and peace. Remember, not every seemingly open door originates from God, and not every presented opportunity is necessarily meant for you to pursue. However, as you commit to walking closely and intimately with God, He promises to faithfully guide you towards what is right and best for you. He will grant you His supernatural peace, which often acts like an internal umpire within your heart, clearly letting you know when you are securely on the right track and signaling when you need to pause, step back, or reconsider. And let me assure you, when you intentionally cultivate and maintain this spiritual sensitivity, you effectively position yourself to receive the absolute fullness of everything God has planned for you. You will not only clearly see the blessing when it finally arrives, but you will also deeply recognize it as the direct answer to your heartfelt prayers, as the tangible fulfillment of His faithful promises, and as the beautiful fruit resulting from your persistent faith. You will find yourself miraculously positioned in the right place at precisely the right time, not as a result of mere luck, but as a direct consequence of following divine guidance. You'll eventually look back on the journey and clearly see how God was meticulously orchestrating every single intricate detail, preparing you not only to receive the blessing graciously, but also to steward it wisely and effectively according to His purposes. So, if you currently find yourself experiencing this heightened spiritual awareness, consciously choose to lean into it. Dedicate intentional time to prayer. Meditate thoughtfully on God's Word and actively listen for His gentle voice. He is speaking, He is guiding, and He is preparing you. Remain keenly sensitive to His leading, because when that significant blessing finally manifests, you will be fully ready, not only to joyfully receive it, but also to walk confidently forward in the specific purpose He has clearly set before you. Divine connections and new opportunities. Noticing new people entering your life or unexpected opportunities crossing your path. Could God be strategically aligning things for your next big step? When God is preparing to bestow something significant upon your life, you might begin to notice an increase in divine connections and the emergence of new, unexpected opportunities. It can often feel as though precisely the right people begin showing up in your life at exactly the right time. Doors that previously seemed firmly shut might suddenly swing open without explanation. And paths you had never even considered before might abruptly become visible and viable. Understand that this isn't merely luck or random coincidence. It is often God Himself meticulously orchestrating your steps. He is strategically aligning circumstances and positioning specific people within your sphere of influence, specifically to assist you in stepping fully into the blessing He has carefully prepared for you. When you learn to recognize these divine connections and timely opportunities, Consider them strong signs that God is actively at work, diligently setting the stage for something truly significant to unfold in your life. Frequently, these pivotal connections materialize through seemingly unexpected channels. You might meet someone new through a casual introduction, perhaps at an event or through a mutual acquaintance, and discover quite suddenly that this individual becomes a crucial bridge leading towards a significant new opportunity. Or perhaps you reconnect with someone from your past after a long period and find that this renewed relationship brings fresh insights, valuable guidance, or much needed support for your current season. God often utilizes people as vessels to bless us, guide us, and open doors of opportunity that we simply could not have opened through our own efforts alone. When He is preparing to do something substantial in your life, He frequently sends people into your path who possess the specific wisdom, necessary resources, or timely encouragement you require to confidently move forward. It becomes vitally important during these times to remain open and receptive, exercise discernment in evaluating these connections, and learn to recognize when an encounter feels like more than just a chance meeting, when it feels like a divinely orchestrated appointment. Sometimes these divine connections aren't solely about what others can offer you, but also about what you are being called to contribute to them. God might strategically place you in a situation where you have the capacity to help someone else. And remarkably, through that very act of selfless service, a brand new door of opportunity unexpectedly opens for you. This serves as a potent reminder that blessings often operate as a two-way street. As you generously pour into the lives of others, God, in turn, faithfully pours back into yours. When you intentionally step into these divine connections with a heart posture focused on service rather than solely personal gain, you naturally align yourself with God's kingdom principles. And He consistently rewards that faithful obedience with His favor and timely opportunities. Similarly, when God is preparing to bless you, you might also begin to notice new opportunities presenting themselves in places you least anticipated. It could manifest as an unexpected job offer for a position you weren't actively seeking. Perhaps a partnership proposal emerges seemingly out of the blue. Or maybe a sudden idea sparks inspiration, illuminating a completely new direction for your life or work. Often these emergent opportunities resonate deeply with the desires God has already placed within your heart. They feel aligned with your inherent purpose and ignite a renewed sense of passion within you. However, sometimes these opportunities also demand significant courage. They might require you to stretch far beyond your current comfort zone or challenge you to take a substantial step of faith into the unknown. When these kinds of opportunities arise, it is absolutely crucial to diligently seek God's guidance through prayer and counsel, and then possess the boldness to move forward decisively when He clearly indicates it's time. Fear might attempt to whisper doubts and hold you back, but unwavering faith will ultimately propel you forward. Recognize that God often uses these stretching moments to teach us, grow us, and vividly demonstrate that the future He has prepared is not only far bigger than we could have ever imagined, but also entirely possible when we choose to rely completely on Him. When you feel that distinct inner nudge prompting you to walk through a newly opened door, take it seriously. Pray earnestly about it. Seek counsel from wise and trusted individuals. And if you experience a confirming sense of peace deep within your spirit, then proceed forward boldly. Remember, God never leads us only halfway. When He opens a door, He faithfully walks through it alongside us. His necessary provision consistently meets us on the other side of our courageous obedience. It's also important to acknowledge that divine connections and significant opportunities might sometimes arrive disguised initially as challenges. You might encounter someone who at first rubs you the wrong way, only to discover later that this very person holds the crucial key to a breakthrough you desperately need. Or perhaps you find yourself placed in a situation that feels intensely uncomfortable or demanding, only to realize in retrospect that it was strategically positioning you for an entirely new level of growth and responsibility. Remember, God's ways are often higher and different than our ways. And sometimes the greatest opportunity lies hidden just beneath the surface of apparent difficulty. When you remain prayerful, open, and discerning, God will faithfully reveal the underlying purpose behind every connection and unveil the hidden potential within every challenging opportunity. These divine alignments, the right people showing up, the right doors opening, also serve as clear indicators that God's perfect timing is actively at work. You might have attempted to force certain things to happen prematurely in the past, only to find the timing wasn't yet right. You might have knocked persistently on doors that simply wouldn't budge, only to discover now that when God is truly ready, the right doors open almost effortlessly. When God's perfect timing converges with God's ordained opportunity, things tend to come together with a remarkable sense of ease and divine flow. This doesn't necessarily mean there won't be any challenges encountered along the new path, but it does mean you will consistently find His favor, His provision, and His grace accompanying you throughout the process. You will likely experience distinct moments of confirmation, instances where everything seems to perfectly fall into place, and you will know, without a shadow of a doubt, that God's guiding hand is upon you. As you confidently step into these new connections and embrace these fresh opportunities, it is absolutely vital to remain humble and deeply grateful. Always remember that every good blessing ultimately originates from God, and every opportunity granted is a chance to honor Him with your life and actions. When you approach these new seasons with a heart overflowing with genuine gratitude, it not only pleases God immensely, but also strategically positions you to receive even greater blessings in the future. Gratitude truly acts like a magnet for God's continued favor. When you consistently acknowledge Him as the ultimate source of every good thing in your life, He delights in pouring out even more abundance upon you. So if you currently find yourself in a season where divine connections seem to be happening frequently and new, exciting opportunities are opening up before you, consciously choose to lean into it. Trust implicitly that God is actively moving on your behalf. Approach each new connection with wisdom and discernment, and embrace each presented opportunity with courageous faith. Ask God continually for guidance and allow Him to direct your steps. He is meticulously setting the stage for something far greater than you can currently imagine. When the right people providentially come into your life and the right doors swing open before you, you will confidently walk into a blessing that not only perfectly meets your needs, but also aligns flawlessly with God's magnificent plan for your life. Conclusion. As we draw to a close, remember these vital signs: increased challenges, divine discomfort, closed doors, heightened spiritual awareness, new connections, and seasons of preparation often indicate God is positioning you for a significant blessing. These aren't random events, but divine indicators. Stay faithful through the challenges. Remain sensitive to His voice. Embrace new opportunities with boldness and trust His preparation process. God never wastes a moment. Every trial, connection, and waiting period is part of His perfect plan. Keep your eyes on Him. Hold on to His promises and prepare your heart. Because what God has in store is greater than you can imagine. Reflect on your current season. Are you experiencing any of these signs? Instead of feeling discouraged or confused, choose to see them as potential indicators of God's movement. Commit today to leaning into the process with faith, perhaps through increased prayer about the challenges, seeking wisdom about a new opportunity, or embracing the waiting with renewed trust. What step will you take this week to align with God's preparation? Recognizing God's hand in the seemingly difficult or confusing seasons changes everything. It shifts our perspective from frustration to faith, from setback to setup. How can acknowledging these potential signs help you navigate your current circumstances with more hope and confidence? Remember, God's meticulous preparation always precedes the fulfillment of His promise. Trust Him in the process. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to watch our next videos.